There exist secrets so profound they've remained concealed for centuries beneath layers of history and doctrine, awaiting the perfect moment to emerge. Imagine knowledge skillfully erased from sacred texts, an ancient teaching that may have been fundamental to early Christianity, yet suppressed and buried through decrees and councils. What if reincarnation, the concept that our souls experience multiple lives, once existed within the Bible's own pages? Today's journey takes us through history's shadows as we re-examine ancient texts and explore decisions that shaped Christian thought. Could such a deep truth, one echoing across numerous cultures and spiritual traditions, have been deliberately silenced? Open your mind and heart as we uncover this mystery. Was reincarnation removed from the Bible? To understand how reincarnation connects to early Christianity, we must first journey through time to visit ancestral civilizations. Long before Christ walked the earth, reincarnation already wandered temple halls, occupied sages' minds, and infused initiates' secret rituals. Beneath Egypt's sands, where pyramids stood as silent witnesses to time's passage, Egyptian priests guarded the secret of the soul's return. For them, death meant transition, movement from one existence phase to another. The Book of the Dead, a collection of sacred Egyptian texts, describes how souls travel, face judgment, and can be reborn into new life or remain in spiritual realms. The soul was viewed as a traveler, destined to return repeatedly until achieving harmony. Across the world along the Ganges, another reincarnation vision flourished. In Indian Vedic texts written around 1500 BCE, the concept of samsara appears, the endless cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. This cycle continues, according to ancient Hindu texts, until the soul liberates itself from material attachments and reaches moksha, eternal freedom. The idea is clear. Actions in one life, karma, shape future existence, establishing a learning journey ending only with enlightenment. Perhaps the most sophisticated ancient approach to reincarnation comes from Greece. Pythagoras, the famous philosopher and mathematician, taught disciples that souls are immortal, born again successively. For him, each life offered fresh opportunity for evolution and learning. Pythagoras believed the universe possesses divine order, and reincarnation allows souls to ascend through this order until reaching perfection. Souls enter new bodies until completely purified, he explained. Plato, another great Greek thinker, shared this view. In his work Phaedo, Plato recounts how Socrates believed in soul reincarnation and spiritual evolution through multiple lives. According to him, pure souls ascended to higher realms, while those needing more learning returned to earth. Across these traditions, reincarnation wasn't merely spiritual fact, but an essential tool for soul refinement. Each existence permitted learning, offering new opportunities for moral and spiritual growth. Every life became a fresh page in the cosmic book of character evolution. Against this background, a question emerges. If numerous cultures embraced reincarnation as fundamental to life's cycle, how did Christianity reject it, at least in modern form? Or did it actually once accept it? In the early centuries following Christ's death, Christianity wasn't a uniformly organized religion. Each community held its own interpretation of Jesus' words and teachings. No official Bible existed, no central authority dictating rules. Only deep longing to understand divine and existential questions. As the Roman Empire expanded and Christianity emerged as a new doctrine, its earliest followers were far from adhering to traditional beliefs that later dominated the Church. Early Christians possessed a worldview differing from today's rigid doctrines. It was a time of spiritual experimentation, where seeking universal truths transcended one earthly lifetime's boundaries. The human soul was seen as eternal, not confined to material body. Focus wasn't solely on present life, but on the soul's journey through time. This led many early Christians to contemplate the possibility of souls returning to earth after death in new form, as part of continuous purification and evolution. Among this period's most influential Christians, Origen of Alexandria stands out as a reincarnation proponent. He was theologian and mystical philosopher, heavily influenced by esoteric traditions from Egypt, Greece, and the Middle East. Origen believed souls weren't merely temporary creations of God, but had eternal origin, having passed through different cycles of life and death. In his major work on First Principles, Origen states that after leaving the body, human souls return to earth in new incarnations until achieving complete purification. For him, reincarnation was spiritual evolution. Souls, passing through different lives, purify and refine themselves until reaching unity with the divine, a concept remarkably similar to modern understanding. Origen didn't view reincarnation as punishment, but as opportunity for learning and growth. He believed life experiences were necessary for soul completion, through which souls approach eternal wisdom. He said, "Every soul comes to the world strengthened by victories or weakened by defeats from previous lives. The idea that choices and mistakes in one life could affect future existence aligned with cosmic justice philosophy permeating ancient spiritual traditions." For Origen, reincarnation wasn't foreign to Christianity. He believed it harmonized perfectly with redemption and purification ideas Christ himself taught. Throughout early centuries, Christianity shaped itself by incorporating diverse spiritual and philosophical ideas echoing ancient traditions. Among early Christian writings, reincarnation was debated, though not unanimously accepted. However, by the 6th century, a momentous event occurred. The Council of Constantinople, a powerful assembly with authority to reshape Christianity, determined this doctrine's fate, marking a turning point. The decision to ban reincarnation from official doctrines wasn't purely theological, but also political. Emperor Justinian and his wife, Empress Theodora, led efforts to eliminate the idea of multiple lives, and, with it, views of continuous spiritual evolution transcending single lifetime. Emperor Justinian tolerated no opposition. For him, unifying Christianity under one set of doctrines was essential not just for faith, but for maintaining order in his empire. Reincarnation, implying multiple lives and spiritual self-sufficiency, challenged the Church's central authority, which sought to control the soul's destiny and redemption. With his politically skilled and determined wife Theodora beside him, Justinian convened the Second Council of Constantinople in 553 AD. This council became a landmark and decisive moment. Supported by church leaders closely allied with imperial power, Justinian used the council as a tool to establish unified doctrine. The Council of Constantinople gathered bishops and theologians from various regions, especially from the Christian East, though some Western representatives also attended. Among key figures present were Patriarch Eutychius of Constantinople, who presided over the council, and Bishop Vigilius of Rome, who initially resisted some decisions, but ultimately surrendered to imperial pressure. Eliminating reincarnation from Christianity was far from purely theological matter. Reincarnation presented a powerful idea. It meant each soul was responsible for its own evolution, and through multiple lives could achieve the purity necessary for union with the divine. This perspective could distance people from needing one intermediary institution for salvation. Controlling the soul's destiny was among the most effective ways to ensure church authority over believers. If people believed they had only one life to ensure salvation, the urgency to follow church teachings and rituals increased dramatically. Conversely, reincarnation allowed souls to evolve independently across multiple lives and outside a single institution. Justinian understood that a church united under single doctrine would strengthen his empire's power. Theodora, Justinian's wife, significantly influenced reincarnation's exclusion from Christian doctrine, driven by personal reasons. Before ascending to the throne, Theodora's life was marked by poverty and social stigma from her past as actress and courtesan, experiences planting deep fear of being reborn into new life suffering similar hardships. This personal fear, combined with Justinian's desire to unify Christian doctrine and strengthen church power as sole mediator of salvation, reinforced the view that each person had only one life to secure their soul's destiny. Justinian explicitly ordered reincarnation doctrine considered heresy. Political pressure was so immense that even the most resistant voices eventually accepted the decision, whether from fear or convenience. Ultimately, Origen was declared heretic, and his ideas about reincarnation were deemed incompatible with official Christian doctrine. Those who attempted to consecrate his ideas were threatened with excommunication and marginalization. The condemnation of Origen and reincarnation was sealed through documents detailing anathemas against Origen, formally banishing this belief from official Christianity. For many, the Bible is God's unchanging word. But could its pages contain hints of truth that remained obscure through centuries? What if reincarnation was among early Christianity's fundamental teachings, later excluded by church authorities? Various passages contain verses suggesting the possibility of soul return, reinterpreted or set aside to align with official doctrine. In Matthew 17:10-13, we find one of the most common examples among those arguing for reincarnation's presence in the Bible. After Jesus' transfiguration, disciples asked about the prophecy that Elijah would come before Christ. Jesus answered that Elijah had already come, referring to John the Baptist. Jesus' enigmatic answer suggests John the Baptist was Elijah's incarnation, coming to prepare Christ's way according to ancient prophecy. For early Christians, this response likely held clear meaning. Reincarnation was part of spiritual understanding at that time. Jesus doesn't hesitate to confirm that the prophetic spirit of Elijah returned in John's form, as if it were accepted fact among his followers. Another intriguing passage appears in John 9:1-25, where upon seeing a man born blind, disciples asked Jesus, "Master, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind?" This question seems to indicate they believe the man might have sinned in prior existence, meaning previous life. If reincarnation were completely foreign to the Jewish Christian context, this question would make no sense. The disciples appear to understand that souls could have action histories outside current life, potentially explaining the man's condition at birth. Jesus doesn't correct this assumption, but expands on it, indicating the man's blindness isn't due to prior sin, but an opportunity for God's works to be revealed. This dialogue includes understanding that souls can carry prior experiences. In John 3:7, Jesus tells Nicodemus, "Truly I tell you, unless one is born from above, he cannot see God's kingdom." The confused Nicodemus asks how this is possible. Can a man return to his mother's womb? But Jesus speaks of spiritual birth as second life. This rebirth could be metaphor for spiritual renewal, or as some scholars suggest, veiled reference to successive life cycles, bringing learning and purification. Nicodemus, as religious leader, understood Jesus spoke of deep mystery, not merely new physical birth. Literal interpretation doesn't align with Jesus' message depth, evident in his saying that rebirth is the key to spiritual evolution, a concept easily aligning with the idea of being born again across multiple lives. The doctrine of reincarnation, though suppressed in many Western traditions, returns powerfully to modern spirituality as a search for meaning purpose, and above all, understanding of our very existence. In an increasingly fast-paced world, where pressure for immediate achievement often overshadows inner growth process, the idea of multiple lives emerges as antidote offering continuous learning path and soul evolution. For modern spirituality, reincarnation isn't merely an idea about what happens after death, but a means to understand human experience. It suggests each life is a unique opportunity for growth, a chance for purification and learning, bringing us closer to our true selves. Rather than seeking salvation in one life, as official Christian doctrine teaches, reincarnation offers more compassionate and patient vision of soul evolution, differing from concepts of eternal hellfire or eternal heavenly rest. The idea of reincarnation was reintroduced to the West through contact with Eastern thought, particularly Hinduism and Buddhism, where reincarnation is central. Philosophers like Alan Watts, spiritual leaders like the Dalai Lama, and teachers like Swami Vivekananda helped spread this belief, emphasizing that the cycle of birth and rebirth is a process of liberation and self-awareness. According to these traditions, a person's actions, their karma, shape not only current life, but future lives, reinforcing deep understanding of responsibility and interconnection among all beings. Over time, this perspective found fertile ground in the West. Rebirth and karma, once viewed as exotic concepts, became fundamental to meditation, leading to renewed understanding of life and soul. Beyond philosophy, reincarnation also gained support in modern psychology. Researchers like Ian Stevenson, psychiatrist and professor at the University of Virginia, devoted decades to studying cases of children reporting detailed memories of past lives. These studies revealed fascinating evidence, with children worldwide describing facts about deceased individuals they'd never met, recalling specific details like names and places later verified. Past life regression practices, popularized by therapists like Brian Weiss, suggest that exploring past life experiences can help individuals resolve deep traumas, phobias, and emotional barriers seemingly having no origin in current life. Rather than viewing reincarnation as only a philosophical concept, transpersonal psychology explores the possibility that we carry past life experiences, and these memories, whether conscious or unconscious, affect our current psyche. Reincarnation remains one of the great existential questions, a mystery that provokes, inspires, and simultaneously challenges our deepest beliefs. For some, the idea of multiple lives represents a key unlocking doors to spiritual understanding and continuous growth, suggesting that the soul, like an eternal pilgrim, always seeks its own truth. For others, it's a belief not aligning with their perception of what it means to be human and exist. Regardless of one's position, reincarnation ultimately isn't doctrine to be blindly accepted or rejected. It invites each individual to search within for what resonates, to find answers illuminating the path and bringing inner peace. In the end, whether our essence is part of an eternal cycle of rebirths or a unique soul on earth, what truly matters isn't the destination, but how we live here and now. What matters is whether we live with purpose, compassion, responsibility, and hearts overflowing with love. Thank you for watching.